welcome back to the Coaches Show. I'm Tristan Whiz and I'm here with...
I'm Tracy.
And we're interviewing Coach Johnston. Before the podcast even started, you told us that you had a radio show before this?
Yeah, when I was at ATU, they have a little broadcasting class, and part of it is a radio show. So this kind of reminded me of that. KXRJ 91.9, rocking the River Valley with over 100 watts of power.
What y'all used to talk about?
We weren't really allowed to do a lot of talking, as much as just kind of introducing the song. But I had an 80s music show, and then at night, one night a week for a couple hours, and then at noon one day a week I did the news for 30 minutes.
Yep.
And then played jazz music for an hour. So jazz with jazz.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
In class, you're always playing music too. I know you love music. What's your favorite artist?
Man, I really the last couple of years have been digging this band called Camp quite a bit. So probably I think on my Wrapped, they were my number one band by far.
Yeah. You got me on them too.
Yeah, they're solid.
Their songs.
Well, we know you're the coach at swim. Do you play music before the swim meets? And
yeah, we do a little music before the meets, just while people are warming up. Got some stuff going on there. Swim playlist. I can hook you up on Spotify. I'll send it to you.
What does a swim game day look like? How do you guys prepare for the swim meets? And
so normally the day before, kind of practice. Kind of like a walkthrough, we'll do starts, relay takeoffs, polished turns, finishes, stuff like that. Day of, if it's a home meet, kids get over to the pool. We have to set up, so they're dragging out bleachers, they're putting up the flags, lane ropes, touch pads, all that stuff. The kids are getting all that stuff ready, and then we'll normally do about a 20-minute warm up, and then get ready for the meet. Diving's first, and then we get into the swim.
And y'all win a ton. What do you think your strongest team was? What year?
Well, I'd say, 2021, both guys and girls won. So that was a good year. Anytime you can win both championships. Also kind of a crazy deal that year because that was, the COVID year.
Yeah.
And so our meets were closed to the public. And because of just trying to limit the size of our meets, we only allowed 5A schools, and that year we went undefeated in our meets. So last night we had a meet. Cabot was there, one of the largest schools in the high school, and their girls beat us. They were first and we were second, but they're not in our classification. So it's it doesn't really, it's not that big of a deal. So that was probably, a feat that will never be duplicated again, just because most years we're going to swim against Conway or Bentonville or somebody like that.
Yeah.
But that team, both those margins of victory were pretty good at state. That team was pretty solid. There was a guy on that team. He's a senior this year. He moved to San Diego named Aiden.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just a couple seconds off from an Olympic trials cut in the 400 IM. So look for him this summer.
How did you get into swimming? Did you do it in high school? And
I was just telling my girlfriend the story last night, or a couple nights ago maybe, is that when I was in 8th grade, there was this girl that invited me to a Sadie Hawkins dance.
Okay.
Named Robin Hampton. She worked at Channel 4, so, Mr. B might know her. So, but anyway, she was like, I'm on the swim team. And I was like, well, I swim, and so I started swimming for this team in Little Rock. And then when I moved here my junior year, Coach K, who's currently our coaches with me, was my swim coach. So I swam for him in high school, and he's still around here.
So you just carried that on to when you were in college and all that. Did you know that you wanted to be a swim coach?
Yeah, right after I graduated from college, my first kind of coaching job, my niece was on the Sharks, which is a little summer league team here, and they didn't have they were needing a coach, and a lady named Christy Rye was the head coach of that, and she kind of said, hey, would you come out and help? And I was like, yeah, because it's my niece, so I went out and did that summer, and then ended up being the head coach of that for a couple of years after that, and that kind of gave me a little bit of that bug to get into coaching, and I did that for a while, and then stepped away for a couple of years when I lived in Northwest Arkansas. But as soon as I got back in the River Valley in 2010, jumped right back into coaching. Been doing it ever since.
How does the swim, I know in football you play high school and then you go to college and then you go to pros and all that. How does swim work? How do you?
So of course, like most sports, most people never go pro, quote unquote, right? So swimming is a little bit different in that, in Arkansas, high school football, right, you don't have like club football.
Yeah.
Like basketball's got club AAU, baseball, of course, huge volleyball, all those things have club sports. Swim's like that. So it's dominated probably on the club scene.
The club, yeah.
And then that's where typically your best competition is going to be at. And so, then you can swim in college. And, of course, swimming being a quote-unquote minor sport, there's not nearly enough scholarships for the number of swimmers. So you have to be really good to get a full scholarship in swimming, and, of course, baseball's like that. There a lot of the sports, football's got, like 85 scholarships. But, I think baseball's got, like 13 or something, for D1. So and swimming's like that too. But I tell my kids all the time is if they want to swim in college, we can find them a home. We've had several swimmers that have gone on to swim at Clarksville, U of O, which is right here, local, and some other schools. But yeah.
So you said you've been here since 2010, right?
I mean, back in Russellville, I came to Russellville High School in 2015, 16 was my first year here.
So like, ever since you've been coaching, how many records do you think y'all have broken?
School records?
Yeah.
Almost all of them. We've got a couple that are still pretty old. We've got a 500 a girls 500 free record that's a few years old. There might be one or two out there, but of the no worries. Of the if there's about 24 records, we've broken probably 20 of them. And then a couple of state records. And
so do you think swim gets overshadowed or it doesn't get appreciated enough as much as it should be?
Well, I think
the other ones.
I think the obvious answer to that is yeah, but at the same time I'm passionate about swimming. I like going to swim meets and watching good swimming, but at the same time if you don't have Rowdy Gaines, or somebody like that, Sam Kendrick calling your meet, it's it's not nearly as exciting just to kind of sit there and watch people swim back and forth. So it's not near the spectator sport that's some other sports are. And also the other thing is you can see that because what's the most watched Olympic sport? Swimming, by far. And so if you think about it, it has the ability to do that. We just haven't been able to tap into that to get it where people
just at the lower level, it's hard.
Yeah, just because of the resources and that kind of stuff.
And if y'all have never seen Coach before this, he used to have these long, luscious locks. But why'd you cut them?
Well, I finally saved up enough money. About every 2 years, get enough money for a haircut. So, yeah.
Do you like it right now?
Yeah. I was just like, it had gotten longer. I guess I've grown it out about 3 times now and then cut it off. And so donate the hair to Locks of Love or whatever. And, but it was like just getting a little bit crazy.
Wait, hold on. You said you had locks, like dreadlocks?
No, just Locks of Love is a company that you can donate your hair to, and they make wigs for people.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah. I thought he had dreadlocks, like
his hair was down to like about right here.
Yeah, it was pretty long.
So, what do you teach here at the high school? I know you do engineering, don't you?
Yeah, engineering, and then this year for the first time I'm teaching an AP physics class, so that's been a lot of fun. So, yeah.
What do you guys? Speaking of physics, I have this packet that I'm about to turn in today. I know it's due tomorrow. Is that all right?
It's due yesterday, you mean?
Due yesterday.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So what do you do in those classes? Like, how'd you get into teaching about engineering? Was it like a passion that you picked up?
Man, I kind of stumbled into that. So when I started teaching, I guess this is my 11th year teaching, and I knew I wanted to teach science kind of stuff, and so I worked at Paris for a couple of years, and I taught biology and environmental science and physical science over there. And when the engineering job came open here, I applied for it, and I was like, man, I can totally do that stuff. And so started doing it, loved it, and kind of have grown from there. It's so much fun. I love it. Like the kind of the project-based learning stuff we do in class. It makes it a lot of fun. It's hands-on. I hardly ever, Tracy, I hardly ever have to get up and lecture. Yeah. And that's what I really like about it, because I'm hopefully just kind of pointing the kids in the way they need to go and kind of guiding them and letting them kind of learn on their own. So.
And I seen on your Instagram you were building something for the solar eclipse, like the light sensor. How's that coming?
Man, yeah, we got that done. So went to a training our kind of educational cooperatives partnered with UCA's astrophysics department, and basically they've got a little printed circuit board that the professor down there made and designed, and we went through a training on it. But we're going to just basically, it's not like it's super hard stuff, but it's just like light and temperature readings during the eclipse. But it's going to be all across the state of Arkansas because we're in the zone of totality, and because you're going to see the temperature drop. Assuming it's not going to be super cloudy that day, but you'll see, birds that start chirping at night. You'll see that, you'll hear them because they're going to think, hey, it's nighttime. We've got to start singing our songs and doing those things. And so it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, to wrap this thing up, what are you looking in like for a swimmer when you're doing swim?
What I look for in a swimmer?
Yeah.
Main thing is grit, hard work. We get a lot of kids that come to us that maybe could swim a little bit, swim freestyle. And I just tell them, I said, look, man, if you'll work hard and you'll be coachable, that's all we ask. Because at the end of the day, what I'm looking for is kids that want to be there and can get better every single day in practice. And I don't care if you're the slowest kid in the state of Arkansas or the fastest. If you can get better every day, that's where, like, for me as a coach, that's where I'm hanging my hat on, right?
I got two more questions.
Yeah.
One is, who makes y'all's apparel? Because, like, y'all have, like, the greatest shirts and hoodies I've seen in this school. So.
That's a great question. So I don't know, you've kind of seen our logo, kind of the old school Cyclone with the water splash around it. My sister actually did that for us.
Really?
Yeah, she's a graphics artist, and so I kind of went to her and I said, hey, I want to incorporate the old, what I call the Angry Eye Cyclone. Yeah. And so she hooked that up for us.
I think it looks great. And then who do you think your most improved swimmer is from start of the season to now?
It's got to be Alvina so far. I mean, she's just been crushing it. I mean, she's been working her tail off in practice, and her times keep dropping. She's doing fantastic.
That's great.
Well, one of the swimmers, we're talking about how you guys stay such – it's not that many in swim, or they're compared to other sports that you guys are so united and you guys are real together and it's like a family. How do you bring that about?
Well, swimming is one of those sports that, like, when you're practicing, there's not a lot of room for talk, because you're swimming laps. And, it's not like if you're running track or you're in football and you can kind of talk to somebody maybe in between plays. So it's hard. It's got to be purposeful, kind of trying to build that teamwork and that camaraderie. But it takes longer, I think, throughout the course of the season, but by the time we get to where we're at now, the kids are really gelling and doing well. So.
Have y'all ever had to pull somebody out because, like, they passed out in the water or something?
So Coach K, his son, actually, when back in the day, we were trying to, like, stay underwater and see who could do, like, the most flips or something, and he actually blacked out. But we don't do that kind of stuff anymore because shallow water blackout is a big deal. So yeah. Luckily, thank goodness I hadn't had to do that.
All right, well, thank you. This has been the Coaches Show. Thank you, Coach Johnston, for coming on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.